Hey there, Wargamers and Tabletop gamers. Welcome to our first full playthrough of Marvel United. In this video, I'm going to go over how to play each character and the villain, and we will start here very shortly. To start out, we've got our villain dashboard, our locations, threats, hero cards, and the villain deck set up as well. Going over the anatomy of a hero card, each hero has 3 special cards, 2 wild cards, and the rest are kind of filled in with either punches, moves, or stars. Each of those kind of do a different thing in the game. We'll be going over that in further detail later on. And from Season 2 onwards, each hero has 4 hero cards instead. Here we have an example of the villain threat cards and the dashboard. Some threat cards, like the Ultron virus and duplication, require stars to be completed, and some, like the Ultron clone, require punches to defeat them because they're henchmen. We'll be using Ultron for our villain today, and the villain dashboard will go over how much health to give the villain depending on how many heroes you're using, the BAM effect, the overflow effect, and his villainous plot, which will end the game if that happens. We will go over the actual dashboard here with the 3 mission cards that you'll need to complete. You'll only need 2 of them to complete to start hurting the villain. So we'll go over some gameplay here. Each character needs to draw 4 cards to start out the game. We've got 4 cards here for Captain America. I'll show those here in a moment. Captain America is a good all-around hero. He's got a lot of good punches, a lot of good stars, and some token generation in his deck. We'll go over Iron Man next. Iron Man's got a lot of moves, a lot of punches, and he also generates a lot of tokens for other heroes. And our third hero, Black Widow, has quite a bit of everything in her deck. She also has some ways to negate the effects of the villain deck. You always start out with the villain card, so Ultron is going to move 4 spaces and do his BAM effect, which is add 3 thugs to the location that he lands in. We won't be able to add those all in this location since there's only 1 slot left. So the overflow effect kicks in, which means that we will add each thug token to the next clockwise location. The Ultron clone threat cards have their own BAM effect as well, adding 1 thug to their location as well. Since we can't add any more to this location that Ultron's on, the overflow effect kicks in, so we'll have to add those to the next clockwise locations here, adding them there and over here on this end. Ultron wins if he runs out of cards or his villainous effect kicks in, which his villainous effect says if there are no tokens available to be added to any location, or if all the locations are filled with either thugs or civilians, then the heroes lose. After the villain goes, you get 3 hero turns in between the next villain turn. So we'll start out with Captain America using his 2-star card, and we'll go ahead and star the threat card twice in the location that he's in. Now after the first hero turn, you can use the previous hero card as well as the card that you just played. So Iron Man has a move, punch, and 2 stars available to him. With the tokens available to Iron Man, we'll use one of the stars from Captain America's card to star off the last star on the threat token, earning us the threat token on the mission card. And then we'll use the other 3 tokens, 1 to move, and we will do a move and a punch and a star onto the next location, clearing off some of the overflow on this area here. And once you clear off a threat token off of a location, you get the benefit of the location on the bottom of the card if you end your turn there. Going with Black Widow, we'll use her double wild card, which is a really good card. There's one in every hero deck, and you can use this as any token. Both of those symbols count as any token. You just convert them to whatever you need them to be. So we can use the previous hero card that Iron Man gave us with a move and a punch, and 2 wild tokens. So we will use Iron Man's move token and convert those to 2 punches, getting 2 damage onto the Ultron clone, and then 1 thug dealt with as well. Now that we've had our 3 hero turns, we'll go on to Ultron's next card. He's going to move 5. There's no BAM on his card, but there are tokens that we need to add. So we'll move him 5 locations, and we will add the thugs and civilians accordingly. He'll add 1 thug to his location, and then a thug and a civilian to both adjacent locations. Since we have cleared the threat card in the location that he landed in, no trigger is going to happen there. And since it didn't show a BAM effect on that card, we won't use his BAM in this turn. So Captain America is safe from damage, and we won't add 3 thugs to the location that he's in. And now we'll start with Captain America again, using his special card here. This one gives a wild token to any hero of your choice other than Captain America, and it also gives him 1 star, and we can also use Black Widow's 2 wild tokens that she gave us from her previous card. So with the tokens available to Cap, we'll move him to the location where our other heroes are, do a star on the civilian with 1 of the wilds, and we'll do a punch as well. I thought that he only had 3 health, the Ultron clone, but he has 4, so we'll put the threat token back. Now we'll move on to Iron Man's turn. Iron Man's got a few good cards available to him. We're going to go ahead and use his double punch card. This way we can clear the Ultron clone and also punch 1 of the thugs in the location. Now that all the damage has been done to the Ultron clone, we can get rid of the threat card and add the token to our mission card. Now we have access to the end of turn effect on this card, which lets us move to any other location. So we'll move Iron Man over adjacent to the other side. And this wasn't available to Captain America because the threat card was still in effect when he ended his turn there. Moving on to Black Widow, this location is pretty clear that she's in now, so we'll play a move star, and we'll move up to the next location and start dealing with some of the threats, thugs, and civilians there. She has access to Iron Man's double punch card, so we'll get rid of the 2 thugs that are there. We'll also use her star to star the threat card, and we'll convert her wild token to a star and put that on the threat card as well. Now we've had our 3 hero turns, we'll move on to Ultron. His card does not move him at all with the 0, and it does 1 damage to each hero with a crisis token. We don't have any crisis tokens at the moment, so we're safe. This is a good card for us to pull in this moment, letting us do more work, although it adds a crisis token to a hero, so we'll add that to Captain America. If your hero was to ever take any damage, you would just remove 1 of the cards from your hand to the bottom of your deck. I don't think I take any damage in this gameplay, but we'll keep going and see if that happens. And now we'll move on to Captain America's turn. We don't really need any punch tokens in the direction that Captain America is going, so we'll move him up to where Black Widow is. And we will use the 3 stars that are available to him from Black Widow's card and his card as well. Starring off the card, the threat card, finishing that off for us and removing all of the civilians there. Now that we have access to that location's end of turn effect, it says that we can remove one thug from any location. So we'll go ahead and take one off one of these full locations, and we can't defeat it, just says discard it. So we'll just get rid of that. Moving on to Iron Man's turn, he's in a location with quite a lot of things to deal with, so we will use his special card here, which allows us to give 2 move tokens to any number of heroes. And again, we have access to Captain America's 2 stars that he gave us, so we'll give Captain America and Black Widow a move token, and we will start to deal with some of the thugs and civilians in his location. And the reason we're not trying to damage Ultron at the moment is because you can't do any damage to him until you beat 2 of the mission cards. As you can see, we're pretty close. We only need 3 more thugs and civilians, and 1 more threat card. We drew Black Widow's special card, which has a really good effect, so we'll put that one down. Now she has 2 punches and a move token available to her. Her special card lets us look at the top card of the Master Plan deck, which would be Ultron's deck, and we can choose to put that on the bottom if we'd like to. This card looks pretty good for the location that Ultron is in, so we'll just leave that on top. After Black Widow's turn, we did 2 damage to the thugs in her location. We'll only need 1 more to defeat those thugs. Now moving back on to Ultron's turn, we knew the card that was coming up, so we'll go ahead and just use his BAM effect, dealing 1 damage to each hero in his location. There are no heroes in his location, so we're safe from damage, and adding the 3 thug tokens. Back to Captain America's turn, we'll draw a card for him, and we got another one of his special cards. We don't really need that effect at the moment, so we'll save that for a later time. We're going to put down his move punch card here. That'll give us access to 2 moves and 2 punches, and we'll go over to where Iron Man is. And we'll start putting some damage onto the Ultron clone threat card. Moving on to Iron Man's turn. So once you finish the first mission card, the villain starts to act after every 2 hero cards, which makes them in effect go a little bit faster, makes them harder to keep up with. And once you beat 2 of the mission cards, you can damage the villain. And once you finish 3 mission cards, everybody draws a card. Every hero draws a card, so you gain a little bit of health if you do all 3 missions. Now these always slide over no matter which one you finish first, the mission cards. So we finish the threat one, and we'll move that one over to the side, and these 2 will slide over, showing that now that the villain will act after every 2 hero cards. Iron Man still has 1 punch available to him, so we'll use that to finish off the thugs as well. Now that will make Ultron vulnerable to damage. Now that we've finished the first mission card, Ultron will go after every 2 hero cards. So now we'll go ahead and draw his next card. He's going to move 1, add 3 thugs to his location, and 1 thug in each adjacent location. Again, we can't add those to the ones that are already overflowed, so we'll add them to the next clockwise location, as his overflow trigger says. Now I made a bit of a mistake here and went ahead with Captain America's turn instead of Black Widow, who should have gone next. If you're doing a solo playthrough, it's not that big of a deal, but if you're playing with other people, you don't want to skip anyone else's turn. Now we have the 2 wild tokens from Iron Man, and you can't really see it in this shot, but that is a move and a punch from Captain America's card. So we'll go ahead and get rid of a couple of these tokens here using the end of turn effect to get rid of another thug in any location. On to Iron Man's turn. We drew his special card, and we'll go ahead and use that because it has a pretty good effect, giving out 2 punch tokens to any heroes that we would like. We'll go ahead and give those punch tokens to Captain America and Black Widow again, setting them up to do some damage to Ultron, or possibly do some damage to the thugs that are all over the game board. And you don't have to use all of the tokens available to you. In this case, I have 2 moves tokens and a punch. We don't have the thug card anymore, so we'll just discard the thugs that we do get rid of. Now we'll move on to Ultron's turn, and he will not move, but he will give a crisis token to each hero in his and adjacent locations, and he will add a thug to each location without heroes. After Ultron's turn, we've given Captain America 2 crisis tokens and added thugs to the locations without heroes. Now we'll move on to Black Widow's turn. She's got a few options here available to her. We want to start doing some damage to Ultron, so we'll use her move punch. We've got a move from Iron Man over here, so we can get to Ultron from where she's at. Gonna move twice, and we'll use 2 punches on him, one with a token and one with her card. With 3 heroes, Ultron has 8 health, bringing him down to 6 health after the damage we did with Black Widow. Again, using the end of turn on that location to move her to the next location in Times Square. On to Captain America's turn. We're going to draw another card, and we've got a couple options available to us. I think the best option here is going to be adding his special card. Gives us a punch, and we can give a wild token to any hero of our choice. Now, Captain America is right next to Ultron, so we'll be able to move with Black Widow's move token, and he has 3 punches from the pool available to him from Black Widow's card, his own card, and the punch token right here as well. That'll give us 3 damage to do to Ultron, giving him 3 health left for the remainder of the game. Ultron's card moved him 1 and added a bit more civilians to the board here. So we're going to drop those down, and that is what it looks like after his turn. Now, we have Captain America that went next, so we'll move on to Iron Man for our next hero turn. With Iron Man's cards, we have a couple options available to us. He has the wild token from Captain America from earlier, so we're going to put down his double punch. This will set up the next hero to do some damage to Ultron since he can't quite get there in this turn. So we'll use his wild token to move over to the next location and start dealing with some of the thugs in the location that Black Widow's in over in Times Square. You still want to clear thugs and civilians even if you've cleared the card with this villain, in particular because his villainous plot results in us losing if all of the spaces are covered with tokens. On to Black Widow. She can't quite get to Ultron, unfortunately, in this turn either, so we'll go ahead and use her Move Star card, and this will get us over to Captain America's location, and we'll be able to deal with some of the thugs and civilians in that location, again freeing up some slots for later on. Now again, Ultron goes after every 2 hero cards, so we'll use his card next. He is going to move twice and do his BAM effect, so he's going to move over to Central Park and add 3 thugs to that location. And now we're back to Captain America's turn. We'll use his last special card in his deck, giving a wild token to Iron Man, setting him up to get close enough to Ultron to do some damage, and Captain America will deal with some thugs and civilians on his turn. We shifted the camera over a little bit to give us more space on the timeline, and now we'll move on to Iron Man's turn. He doesn't have that many punches available to us, so we'll go ahead and just use his move. And now he has a move from Captain America and from himself, so we can get to Ultron and at least deal 1 damage to him with our wild token. Ultron is going to move 2 and do his BAM effect, adding 3 thugs to the location that he is in now. No one is in his location, so no one takes any damage. And then we'll move on to Black Widow's turn, hopefully ending the game here in this area. Once again, we'll draw with Black Widow, getting us 4 cards in our hand, and she just drew a double punch card, which is a great card to have for this moment. She is right next to Ultron in the location right next to him, so we'll use the move from Iron Man and do 2 punches to Ultron with 1 health left on him. Now, since he moves after every 2 hero cards, he moves around a lot more, so it's harder to keep track of where he's going to be, and it's harder to get to him, making it a little bit more of a challenge winning the game here. So we're going to move on to Captain America and see if he can possibly end the game here. And Captain America just drew his double wild card, which will be perfect for this situation, ending the game for us, getting him to Ultron's location and dealing 1 damage to a thug and 1 damage to Ultron, ending the game, defeating the villain. As you can see, it's a very simple game. There's a lot of flavor in the hero cards, and the villains really change the definition of how you play the game. Thank you guys for watching our first game playthrough on the Wargames Delivered channel. There will be more to come, many battle reports and other games that we are interested in, so stick around and be sure to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed watching. Thank you. Bye.